Overseer's Log 20, Trial by Fire. Hello, Vault Dwellers and Wastelanders. My name is Kyle, and I will be your Overseer for today's episode of our Fallout TTRPG DM Campaign Diary episode. That's what these are. These are our nice weekly recaps where I get to tell you about everything that's going on around our vault here. I do want to start off by telling people we have a new Bethesda gear code. We'll get some of this housekeeping done right off the top. Vault 2 is the code. These codes are good for a longer period of time. They don't change out every week, which is wonderful. The downside is meaning us brand ambassadors for Bethesda, are going through a little bit of a tumultuous onboarding with a new app where sort of shady. They cut our commission rate on those from 10% down to 7%. So if anyone has any good contacts out at Bethesda, we would love that. We got one. We just pitched a great, well-worded, lengthy email that has some criticisms, but also solutions to these problems. Me and 7 other content creators signed off on that email. So hopefully Bethesda will take that with a good faith, response, and we could maybe make this program even better, because we don't have such a great way to get these props and things that we're showing off to everybody. These aren't sent to us for free. Instead, the program has been one where if you go and you use that coupon, we get a financial kickback, a commission, and we could turn that into a Bethesda gift card and then buy these items off the shop to do a perpetual promotion loop. And it was basically pay to promote in a sense. We hope that can get better. We would love to get a catalog of what's coming in the future months so we could, be ready, be proactive, get some things recorded, and just get to know these pieces of kit better instead of rushing to do some unboxing. And unfortunately, right now, with the way the system works, we get the props in the mail when you do. So we can't ever really be proactive to it. We're always reactive. Some people out there do seem to have a connection. Some of the very, very large and long-standing Fallout creators and makers, they seem to have a proactive thing. They get them early, but we do not. So all I could say is if you're looking to shop on the Bethesda Gear Shop, using this code is a massive kickback to us. At even 7%, you can go and do the math on what you check out with and how much of a donation that is to this stream. But okay, enough about that. We could talk about that forever. And we're going to soon on the Vault Broadcast podcast. We're going to have a bunch of those creators on as we do a roundtable, probably in the next week or so. But am I going to get out of order? Probably. There's a lot going on. So let's use a handy little resource that I've been making over on the Discord server. Whoop. You may notice that every Friday on our Discord, I am beginning to post these weekly recaps, the Vault recap. And in here, you can find all the content that we've pushed out. And it's a lot. For a one-man show here, we've put out 4 different pieces of content in the last week, plus some others on social medias like TikTok and Instagram. So if you're interested in getting a lowdown and rundown on everything that we did in the last week, be sure to get in the Discord server. Wonderful place. We've been doing it like hanging out in there while we're on Twitch streams. So we've had some people coming by and hanging out with us in our Fallout 76 gaming. But let's dive in. There's that little note about Twitch right at the top there. Maybe I'll use this as the transition. Then on Friday nights, we're really trying to urge Fallout 76 players to come out to the game. Specifically, if you're on the PC side of things, come out and hang out with us. My username is Overseer Kyle. Keeps it simple. But we do all kinds of goodies together. We've been running raids. We do events. We help people get gear. And maybe that's another nice one we're going to bump down the list. In addition to coming out on Friday nights, I would tell you to mark your first and third Saturday of the month because we're doing Fallout 76 crafting fairs. Whether you are a new player, these will massively benefit you, or whether you're a returning veteran player that's just looking to get their gear and other things up to snuff, you could come out. We're doing them at 7 p.m. Eastern time. That's New York City time. And the crafting fair is just a way for all of us who have a lot of junk in our stash box to build things for players who don't yet have them. This is going to be a hugely popular year for Fallout 76. The next scoreboard has already been teased or data mined, and it looks phenomenal. So they're definitely doing integration in there for the Fallout TV series in December. I'm just saying, if you've been curious about trying Fallout 76, add it to your Steam wish list. See if it goes on sale. If it does, especially get it on sale. Like, massively, especially get it on sale. I don't know if there's any summer sales left. I'm not a Steam sale tracker, but there's a website for that. Steam Sale Tracker, I think, is maybe even the name of it. And you could toss that game on there and see how low it goes. Because I want to say it retails for 30 to 40, but it goes on sale for like 15 to 20. So I'm not edging you into it in a huge way. I'm just saying you could come out and hang out with us and play some Fallout content and get all the goods of the Wastelands together. But anyway, the dates to keep in mind for that would be every Friday is the Fallout Friday. And then on Saturdays, the 1st and 3rd of the month is when we're doing the crafting fair. But enough on that. Let's talk about some people that we've had through the door. I took it a little bit easy on Vault Broadcast this week. We had one amazing guest. Claire came by on Wednesday night and hung out with me. Then we got to publish that episode up there on Thursday. So it was a really quick turnaround. We've been doing these low to no edit episodes where I just sit down with the guest and we hash them out. That speaks volumes to their quality as a speaker. Most all of these guests have been brand new to interviews and they've just all knocked it out of the park. And Claire was no exception to that. Super cool to hear what they've been up to. Created a great Midwest Commonwealth cosplay, prop making, and artist group, which is just super cool. There are over 100 members in there. I was just blown away by the interview, and just such high enthusiasm for people makes those episodes so easy to do. I do want to tease a little bit about the future of Vault Broadcast because, as you may remember, I was trying to do 2 of them per week. Then I've had this idea that I've wanted to take it as a live show. That's always been the ambition behind it. And I think that's going to start materializing come September. That I want to keep one-on-one episode per week. That might air on Tuesdays. And then I've got this idea that we're going to try a roundtable on Fridays. I don't know how much of this I want to tease right now. But this roundtable is going to be the guests who have already come through Vault Broadcast once. There might be an exception here or there, but most of the time, the Friday segment will be people who have already been on Vault Broadcast at least once, and now they're going to come through. I'll tease that the setup is going to be something of me and them aggregating Fallout news throughout the week, and then us using this Friday roundtable to discuss it, and passing out certain news stories to people at the table so they can take more of a lead on that. And then we'll see if we have a topic everyone wants to discuss, and that'll be our kind of meat and potatoes that'll take up the longer portion of the episode. I could go into more detail. I tried to describe it to a friend, and it took like 5 minutes last night to go into the itty-bitty detail of it. But it's got a really cool formatting that I want to follow, and I don't think it would be too much for me to do. I think it's good to cannibalize one episode of Vault Broadcast for this, because this is, I'm starting to like building block together where Vault Broadcast is now versus where I want it to be versus where it started. I have always wanted it to be like a 3-day-a-week live stream show where we have a bunch of guests come by and talk to us about their part of the fandom and what they're doing and what events they're going to and all the rest. And as it turns out, building Vault Broadcast through one-on-ones, pre-recorded, has worked us to that end. It's, first of all, gotten me very comfortable on camera talking to these folks. It has secondarily introduced me to a lot of people who want to do regular content, because not everyone wants to be on a podcast all the time, and it takes time out of your day and the rest. But the people I've been talking to not only have a knack and a finesse for it, but a lot of them have pre-marked on some of their intake forms that they want to come by monthly or weekly. And that didn't even dawn on me how many people had marked that off until just 2 nights ago. I was poking through the forum, lining up new guests. And I was really shocked and very impressed to see so many people say, yeah, I'll come by weekly. The other thing is, some of these folks, you know, they were just a name on a list there earlier, and I couldn't really tell who was who. But now to sit down with them and to meet them, to talk to them with more personal exchange, it makes me all the more excited to meet with these guys on the regular. It's just such a cool cool group of people that have come through. Really excited. I'm rambling, I'm gushing, I'm talking about the future of Vault Broadcast, but I hope it interests all of you out there, and this is what this episode's for. These shows, these overseer's logs are for me to just dump my thoughts. They are my captain's logs, if you will. So anyway, big changes coming to Vault Broadcast, but by all means, please go up there and support Claire's episode. It is on YouTube, so give it that like, give it that subscribe, give it a comment below, even just saying, great episode. It makes the guest feel better too. It helps me in the algorithm, makes me feel good too, but it also helps the guest. Like you guys, if you leave a comment, and you say something kind about it, that helps them know that there's more people out there who care. Also, it shows they didn't come onto our show for nothing. They didn't come into an echo chamber where no one's listening, which is just nice. Everyone wants that. I would tell you also to go get subscribed to the Substack. Of course, that's linked over here through the Discord and more. All of these links are at overseerkyle.com, though. Let's swap that up there so people can find that real fast. There you go. Find all of our podcasts at overseerkyle.com. Everything you've heard me talk about today is up there. And even recently just been adding my Fallout 76 build up there. I'm starting to get a build guide going. I'm also doing a thing where I'm archiving the Substack episodes directly up to my website. So big changes are happening. A lot of cleaning out on the back end is going on, which is really what's needed. Back to our little screen here. I'm going to hop over the primary episode. We'll just save this for a minute. That's what's coming up next. But I do want to say we've got a new episode of our case review. That's our critical after show evaluation. That is recorded right after the Fallout TTRPG. This is when my friends and I sit down and decompress on the episode. This is paid bonus content. So if you're someone that wants to financially support the show, that is a great way to do it. The link to that is over, well, actually, it's not on our screen right now. Let's fix it live. We're doing it live. I copy and I paste this. Whoopity boop, boop, boop. Oh, look at that. That works. And I'm centered to it. Oh, look at that. Sometimes magic really does happen. Okay, anyway, if you want to get that and more bonus content, Overseer Kyle over on the coffee page is the place. And I can tease this now. This is the first print, a very stressful first print of our Tales from the Vault zine that I want to mail out to people. This one you can see was a misprint because my brand new printer, which is expensive and supposed to be amazing, has some software issues where it just ignores some of the print settings. But at least you can see the front and back. I did get I have it in various stages around here where it's worked. It's like a Frankenstein mess around here. See, this one's in black and white. I, honest to goodness, could not get both of the things to happen at once. It was either doing color, one-sided, against the proper settings, you know, the boxes were ticked, or I got black and white double-sided. So I don't know what to tell you guys. It's coming along. But I will say that the meat and potatoes for this first zine in particular is recapping a lot of the guests that we've had on Vault Broadcast. So why don't I go back to our promo scene for just a second, and I'll read out here. Courier Claire came by in this last episode. Courier Claire is a passionate Fallout fan and accomplished cosplayer known for their Benny cosplay. They founded the Great Midwest Commonwealth, a thriving Fallout cosplay and LARP troupe with over 100 members. The interview explores Claire's journey in the Fallout community, their content creation strategies on platforms like Instagram and TikTok, and their future goals as a creator. So you can see the sort of content that's in there for every guest. And there's nice beefy ones for our Fallout episodes, although not episode 20. Oh no, I gotta recap episode 20 of the Tales from Tomorrow episode from memory. Chop No Chopping is in here though, so at least, you know, episode 19 is already queued up. We'll hop back away from that scene, back to this one for just a second though. That's our coffee episode's gonna be up rewind. The case review episode is up on our coffee page, and that is, again, the same place where you're going to get access to these Tales from the Vault zines. You get 2 for in that. That's a nice promo, 2 in 1. Then just a brief reminder that Overseer's Log 19 went up there. If you like this one, go catch the last. It was a rather short episode. I was in a little bit of a hurry. Seems to be the case. I'm still trying to figure out what days of the week to record things. And that goes into what we were just talking about a moment ago with the Tales, the Vault Broadcast roundtables. We got so many projects and such a small brain here to make it all work. It's a real wonder and a surprise that any of us are intact at this point. But let's get into Trial by Fire, episode 20 of Tales from Tomorrow. This is the meat and potatoes of this episode. We'll recap it. If you didn't already go watch it, it's up on YouTube. Both the live stream, we've gotten back into live streaming them to YouTube, and the syndicated episode on Wednesday. The only difference between those two is the syndicated, I snip out the beginning, any fluff, like if there's any just kind of banter or slowness at the start, like me getting tech stuff, I snip that, and I go into the middle for our 10-minute break time, and I snip that out. There was a sound, it was Louis snoring, but it sounded like a... I was like my words are a little stunned when I hear some of these things. Anyway, I go in there and I snip out those bits of it and make a little bit more of a polished episode. I hope the audio has sounded well over there, or at least good. I've really been trying to switch my audio setup around for the better. I learned that my mixer had a dead preamp. My most expensive mixer I ever bought back in 2024, because I knew I was getting back into content creation hard. It has had a dead preamp. Embarrassingly, for as long as I've been using this microphone and other mixers, I couldn't tell it was a bad preamp. I actually thought that it was such a good I can't even say this. I thought it was such a good preamp that I was hearing more background noise, because I would hear what sounded like computer fanage going on. Like, I would hear a little bit of that. And it wasn't bad, but there were times it certainly annoyed me looking back on it. Like, I can think of times I was gaming with my friends and I would mute my own mic because I'm like, I'm hearing so much ambience through here. It was a bad preamp. It was dirty. It was getting bad audio, and it only became really noticeable, let's say in late July into August. I heard on occasion a little buzzing noise through my microphone, little electric buzz. That can indicate that maybe you have a wire sitting on another electrical wire, and it's contacting like even plastic to plastic, you'll get a little bit of that audio buzz that'll leak through. And these XLR cables to these microphones can go bad, especially when you're in the process of moving and they get moved around and bumped and pulled and whatever, and they can just, go bad. Swap that. Nope. Swap the port on the mixer. Yep, it was my input line. So I don't know if I have to reach out to Rode and see about getting this one repaired, replaced, or something. But yeah, I just want to apologize to people that's been affecting my audio. So if you like the audio you hear now, or if it needs improved, if anything sounds too hollow or tinny or echoey or whatever it is, it would mean a lot to hear back. I really thought a lot of the echo that I was picking up in the room was that preamp too, or vice versa. I thought that my room here was excessively echoey, but it turns out my preamp had a lot to do with that as well. So getting things fixed. Now officially into episode 20 here, Trial by Fire. Our friends picked up as they were traveling up north the Ohio River. Dark Knight was not there at the start of the episode, so Jim was just set to sleep, relax, kick back inside the boat. Meanwhile, Sam and Raven were up top looking for any kind of signs of trouble on the horizon, and they found some. As it turns out, mirelurks were beginning a migration up north, which is problematic because that would send them to the town of Hope, the town they were aiming to protect, the town that they had first come to find it besieged by mirelurks. You can see where that's going, huh? Well, they also on their travels found a dead Brahmin caravan and the merchant traveling with it. They were able to stop and get some of that loot. I believe Sam may have even gotten a legendary shotgun out of it. So that was kind of nice for him. They got some medical supplies and the such. However, Raven made a little bit of a premonition, but also a bit of a, I don't know, maybe a little out of character getting into the game. This is me especially breaking the fourth wall again here. Just to say, Raven had a moment where she was questioning if Jim had killed that merchant. And I'm not sure where my friend Mac Raven got that idea from. It seemed a little outlandish at the time, as if she was maybe like really going quote, off the script. There is no script. There is no story. It's all sandbox. But with that kind of fabrication, that her character clearly knew Jim was with her for days, hadn't left her side. For her, the player, to make that comment was a bit awkward, and I didn't exactly know what to do with it. So I leaned into it with the harsh reality of yes-anding. I, maybe against my player's own wishes in that case, just went, okay, yes, you said it, you typed it, we're running with it. And that, I think, is the joy to this style of game, that you can just do that, where if your friend is well, this is the joy if you're the GM, I guess, of the game. If your friend is being a little silly, you can just work that directly in to the plot. So her thinking that Jim had killed this guy implied a little bit of madness on her part, and I conveyed that to the other player, to Sam. I said, you know that Jim was with you. You know this wouldn't make sense. Oh, pardon me. Let me hit the little mute button. You know this wouldn't make sense for Jim to have killed this man, but Raven's saying it happened, and so what do you do? And ultimately, Raven, in her kind of, what do you call it? Like the heat of the moment, the fever that she was experiencing, she trips and falls down a hill, lands in a pit of mirelurk eggs, and barely escapes with almost no health at all. That was very, very intense. I was surprised she made it. Really, truly was. It just didn't seem likely at the rate she was going. A couple more snips from them and she would have been gone, but they have apparently a really bad chance to hit, so she got lucky. Maybe unfortunate for Jim, because they get back on the boat and start heading up to town. When they're in range of the town, they get a radio transmission from Tom saying, everyone stay on the boat except for Sam. This puts all the players on edge. They know something's wrong. And I was a little bit impressed with how astute they were to it. As they get there, they dock the boat. Sam gets off, and he makes his way over to see Tom. Tom is the sort of head of the town. He is the robot technician. He mans the radio. Tom's been like the kind of the key player of making the whole town go round. When Sam gets in there, Tom lays on the bad news that, well, is it even bad news? He lays on the news that Jim is being tried for murder. Jim, when they had left the town last, again, in a sort of fit of silliness and my players are trying to test the boundaries of the game right now, sort of what's happening. It makes sense. They've been in the sandbox for a little over a year. They're trying to test, whether they know it or not, they're trying to test how the world reacts to them. And they're getting some, I guess, harsh doses of reality. You got to remember, Jim killed in cold blood a townsperson, one that they had just brought back themselves, one of the orb cultists who had helped them recover their APC, who had helped them come up that travel through the river. They were welcomed into the town and given shelter, and then one of the players spontaneously decided to rob them and kill one of them in the home that they were given, which is crazy, right? I mean, my players are fairly well allowed to do whatever they want, but as I always tell them, it is a living world. The world will respond to you and your actions in a way that is befitting of the world. You're in a non-raider town, a town that values roles and trying to, in some senses, rebuild the American way, and that is trials for murder. And so the Protectron, who is considered the formal mayor, Mayor Smiles, it's his programming, is what it's called. It's a settlement management program. He has decided that Jim should stand trial for this murder. And that is setting up the next episode, which has so many ramifications. There are a couple plot angles that are coming up between this trial, between the Point Pleasant such that they got to get into. All these things are going to change the landscape of this sandbox TTRPG. And honestly, they're going to be deciding whether these characters or these towns continue to exist. I have been having sort of conversations with my players all week, just being very loud and vocal about how, if you do this thing, this is how the town might react. If you do this, this is how they might react. Because there is a chance that they could smooth talk their way out of this and that Jim won't hang for his crime. Or that may not work and they might have to become fugitives. I think it's very interesting foreshadowing that I did not set up. This is not something I pre-planned. I don't know that I deserve any credit for this. Maybe my subconscious does or something. But it's just very interesting foreshadowing that Sam had been told by Rusty Dusty Bones, you guys are kind of raiders in a sense, aren't you? You brought so much trouble. Every time you think you're helping, you really also brought something that's hurt people equally. And that really, I think, stuck in Sam's craw for a while. And now that we have Jim and Raven openly conspiring to overturn law in the town, right? They're talking about becoming like tyrannical or again, raiders. Like they're talking not just of, for example, Jim in this last episode had said, well, why don't I just reprogram Mayor Smiles? So what he's saying is like, why don't I take the law and subvert it for me? Kind of the equivalent of rigging an election. And they've even talked about that. They're like, well, how about I kill Mayor Smiles and I'll just take his position, which they all can do this. These are all options for my players to take. And I'm very interested to see in what directions they go. The dice will largely guide our hand into one of these paths, but there they go. If they kill Mayor Smiles and appoint themselves as the mayor, how is that not tyrannical? How is that not, an anti-democratic motion there, cooing the leadership and taking over the town? I think that makes you sort of raiders by proxy anyway. In a sense, you wind up filling that role, which is just interesting that they've tried to save Hope from having the free radicals own them. They didn't want Hope to bend the knee to the free radicals, but interestingly, they are willing to make the town bend the knee to them. And that's wild. I don't know that my players, the real life humans at the table, are maybe thinking about some of these reactions in advance. I heard a lot of comments last time, and maybe some of the case review where they were saying like, oh my gosh, not used to this. Can't do that in the video game. That doesn't happen there. The players or the town doesn't just turn against you and a thing like that. But there's been a lot of Easter eggs, or no, maybe that's not the right word. There's been a lot of telegraphing that this would be the direction the town would go. When the cultists first got there, I don't know why, my players were sort of just really against them, even though the cultists were supposed to be this likable, sort of charming group to engage with. Some of my players were really hostile to them. And so in recognition of that, some of the townsfolk were like, the Orb cultists seem fine. They seem like nice people, no crazier than anything else out there in the Wasteland. They shake their magic 8-ball and get their answers, but they're not bad people. And I think that's really, really going to show in this next episode when Jim is tried and Raven has to go on trial and maybe Sam is examined. We're gonna get to know some of their thoughts better. In addition to Jim saying, that he wanted to just reprogram the mayor when he got in trouble, I thought it was really interesting that Jim showed no remorse for killing that cultist. Instead, what I, as the GM, took away from it was that Jim's opinion is, if you don't handle the Wasteland exactly as I demand you do, bang, you're gone. Was sort of the takeaway from it. He was like, these guys are playing with this stupid plastic ball. And that kind of dismissal was enough to take one of them out, like, oh, you're dumb for playing with plastic, bang. And some serious Wasteland justice that the Kyle does not agree with. But we'll see how that way it works out for them in the town. There's a really good chance Jim's character gets executed this week. I think there's also a really good chance that we might see Raven swinging as well, because I know she's just up to some stuff. I don't even know what. I can't spoil it because I really don't know, but I know she's up to some shady business there on the side. I think her little fooling around too, when Mac Raven, the player, made the comment through her character that she thought Jim had killed that Brahmin caravan trader, that's going to be a bit iffy if she gets examined on the stand. If anyone asks her, like, did you ever think Jim was capable of this? Have you ever before thought that Jim, had killed any innocent people? Do you think he might kill any more innocent people? Like Raven's character under oath, being a religious Mothman cultist, she might have a really hard time answering those questions without incriminating Jim. And again, then a lot of questions come up. Will they be forced to flee the town through being exiled? Will they have to, maybe I told Raven, I said, you guys could go hardcore villain arc. You could kill the mayor. You could take over the police protectrons as the people try and flee the town of Hope. You could deploy the protectrons as a violent peacekeeping force and just gun down any people that stand against you or try and flee from you. You would, again, you'd fulfill the role of being the raiders. You would now be slavers at that rate. But to my players, I'm giving them that kind of open-ended, like, here you go. Here's a precious nest egg that you guys have taken care of and cared about for over a year. Are you going to take this egg the final way and incubate it, get it hatched? Or are you going to smash it on the floor and just squish it into the carpet? Because I think there's a really good chance that some of the party's going in that direction, and we'll see what that leads to. I mean, maybe there'll even be some PvP conflict coming up here soon enough if these players have to kind of police their own. But it is a perfectly good time in the show itself if they want to create new characters. I've long prompted them to have other ideas in mind, but I think at this stage in the program, it's very reasonable that there's going to be some big shakeups. And however they deal with Point Pleasant's going to have a lot to do with the rest of the season as well, or the rest of the future in Appalachia. If they're able to curtail the Mothman cultists, great. Then other things are going to thrive in their place, just like in an ecosystem. If one predator's gone, other things are going to thrive. And the Mothman threat is very much the same, where if they're able to curtail that, great. They're going to have some easier travel. If they can't curtail that, well, then they're going to have probably a lot harder time traversing the area. It's simple things like that. It's the stuff that I don't even really plan for, but it's the arcs that we get to see how they choose to handle. So on that note, everybody, I'm going to get out of here. I need a drink. It's hot. I'm thirsty. I've been talking for 30 minutes, and I did a couple of these takes beforehand. Don't forget, even though I don't edit these, I did a couple takes. Probably took me more time than just editing it. But anyway, here we are. Go make sure you follow and subscribe to the Vault Broadcast podcast. It has a Substack newsletter. Get your name on that list. There's no spam. You just get an email every time there's a new episode. So at most like twice a week. The same with the Tales from Tomorrow newsletter. And if you want a shortcut to get to either of those newsletters, vaultbroadcast.com and tftfallout.com. Those redirect, you can't see me. Those redirect you to the actual Substack newsletter directly. For all of the links, though, overseerkyle.com. Nice and easy. And guess what? They're linked in the description below. How easy is that? And finally, the reminder, go over to our YouTube account. We're supposed to be leaving. Who's making sounds? Go over, not to our, well, you go to the YouTube, but I was going to say go to the Discord. Go join the Discord, everyone. I don't even know if I have a quick link to it, but it is on overseerkyle.com. There isn't a short link, but if you boost the Discord server, here we go. This is how we get the things ready and snappy on the way out the door. If you boost the Discord using your Discord Nitro server boost, we could get a very nice little handle for our server. So consider that. You got to have boosts on your server before you qualify for a custom name. It's just how it works. But that community is growing, and it is wonderful, and people have been so kind to each other through Fallout 76. That's all I've got for you today. Again, you could go check out the Bethesda Gear Shop. Use code VAULT2 at checkout to save 20% off. This Pip-Boy is really badass. I love it. And it has... break my arm to show you. Anyway, it's got all kinds of goodies on there. It's got a lot of motion and moving screens. It's even got maybe a little bit of a radio. Here, let's see if I can send you out on some tunes.
Hey, yo, this is DJ Carl at KP.
Oh! I guess it's Fiddle Week again. Oh, that's exciting. Well, everyone, go enjoy Fiddle Week. I'll catch you soon. And like I said, let's link up in Discord. Bye.